Well, they said it was going to be a quieter year this year for Mass Effect's N7 Day in 2024, and they were right. There was a few things worth talking about, but as of the recording of this video, there wasn't a big blowout of info. There wasn't even a blog, actually. So let me jump into everything that we saw, and we will do that right now. Okay, so the headlining thing that we got this year was a social media post. Like I said before, we didn't get a blog this year, which is pretty strange. I first started paying attention to all of this stuff in 2020, and we've gotten a blog every single year until this year. I have some things to say about that at the end. I don't think it's a bad thing. Actually, it's probably a good thing. We'll get to it though. But we have a BioWare post. It says N7 Day 2024. Hi, everyone. November 7th has arrived once again. As always, we're grateful for the opportunity to celebrate all things Mass Effect. This year is a little different as we just launched Dragon Age the Veilguard as a studio, so we're purposefully keeping things lighter as we celebrate the launch of the game. Speaking of which, you may notice a small treat from the Mass Effect team in Dragon Age the Veilguard if you check out a new chest inside the lighthouse. There is some cool new merch in our BioWare store, and we have partnered with No Man's Sky and Destiny 2 to bring back a couple fun cross promos in those games. Be sure to check out our social channels for all of the details. Although we are a little quieter this year, we couldn't be more excited for what is to come. The Mass Effect community team. And that's it. They have instructions down below that about the Veilguard thing. I'll show that here in a moment. My reaction to this at the end of the day is this is what they said. A few days ago, a few days before N7 Day, I believe it was the BioWare account said, hey, just a heads up, N7 Day is going to be kind of quiet this year because we just released the game, so there's that. And then Mike Gamble, the creative director on the next Mass Effect, who typically is a huge teaser himself, said the same thing repeatedly to multiple people. As of the recording of this, I'm recording this before 4 o'clock on N7 Day. I think that there's the tiniest chance he may still post something. If he does, it'll probably be worthy of its own video if it's some art or something like that. We'll get there. But this is fine. They talk about the Veilguard thing. I'll show that here in a moment. They just released the game. We're under the impression that at least at some point, a bunch of the developers who have been assigned to Mass Effect for at least a short time were helping over on the Veilguard. It's not that surprising that they didn't have much to show. They've likely continued to work on Mass Effect in a small way. I imagine the directors of the game have continued working on it. Mike Gamble, maybe a few people as well. But it seems like a lot of people may have went over to the Veilguard team to help them ship that game. After talking to a few people in the know, I'm under the impression that there was a lot of hard work at the end of the development cycle of the Veilguard. When I've seen over the last few months people taking pretty extended vacations, including the directors of the game, Epler, Corinne, multiple people who are like in leadership positions also taking vacations before Veilguard even came out, tells me that they were doing work before Veilguard even released to try to get people rested and get people some time to relax before they jump into the next Mass Effect. What I think this means for the future, I think that what people need to remember as well is that it's almost certain that this will be the last time we'll have to wait a year for any kind of info about Mass Effect. I'm expecting a full production announcement in May. That's the 25th anniversary of BioWare, I believe. And then I wouldn't be surprised if we get a blog or two in the spring, summer, fallish times to talk about the production and the development of the next Mass Effect, that's where we'll see concept art and some slight, light discussions about the game and things like that. And then in 7 days. So this may seem light, but I think it's probably because there's a good chance 2025 and 6 and 7 and, however much longer it takes to make the game, we'll have more. As for what's in here, Down at the bottom, the BioWare store, there is some new merch. There's a really cool Dark Horse Shepherd statue I'll show you at the end. The No Man's Sky and Destiny 2 are previous events, but they're rerunning them in those games, so go check those out there. Moving on, the Veilguard thing that they're talking about is this here. I got it off of my own capture. This is the helmet that you get as it's an appearance item, and one of the like armor appearance items. It has the kind of classic red and white stripes with the black outfit. This is pretty reminiscent to a thing we'll talk about again, but that N7's armor from the 2023 trailer that we got. This is obviously a pretty direct reference to that. The helmet is very it's interesting. It's definitely kind of a mix of that helmet last year from that armor, and also kind of the classic N7 armor as well. What was interesting as well, what came along with these were these descriptions and the names of these items. So the helmet is called the Command Helmet. It says a mark of leadership in accentuated stripe. The color of blood serves as a reminder of the lost. The Paragon of Leadership. It's one of the outfits. A modern practical fit makes this perfect armor for operatives trusted with command. So we're talking about operators, commanders, Paragon. We have all of the hints. Spectre of Battles Past. A pretty direct reference to Shepard as someone who was a Spectre and an N7. It says formal enough to face a war council while still functional on the battlefield. So again, a reference to Shepard and the Citadel Council. And the Beyond the Stars. That I believe that's the kind of brand for these, as well as when you opened this crate, there was a note on the crate you could read before you opened it and got these items, and it said, these look familiar as something from an old friend. I mean, it's, in my opinion, a pretty direct reference to Shepard, which puts it at another reference to Shepard in every single teaser since 2021. At some point, I'll do a video about all of the stuff again, and I will more clearly point that out. But yeah. Now, something that was interesting, if you look at this armor again, last night or in the morning before, that we had kind of an interesting thing pop up that I saw on the subreddit, and then also noticed something in my Discord, is that this Volante Design, this is a third-party outlet that sells licensed stuff from BioWare. If you remember a couple years ago, I think it was in 2022, they're the ones who had those big winter jackets that they were Turian jackets, and they had like the Turian like neck hole that you could buy. This stuff is like crazy expensive, and here they posted a pre-order for an item that is essentially a replica or an extreme reference to the N7's armor from that 2023 trailer, and it doesn't reference Shepard anywhere in it, except when I noticed that when I embedded it, when you embed this, at least on Discord, it straight up says officially licensed BioWare Mass Effect N7 Commander Shepard jacket. Now, to be clear, there's a few other jackets on there as well. It's the N7 jackets. I believe those are also called Commander Shepard jackets, if you do this to them. This is referencing things like luxury quality men's outerwear, tech wear, futuristic cyberpunk gaming jacket. This is an obvious like SEO thing. So I'm not trying to go out there and say like, oh, this means Shepard's coming back. But it is yet another reference to Shepard, and it has something to do directly with this armor. And then we're seeing this stuff here where, this is referencing Shepard again. Look, I want Shepard back in the next game, and I don't think it's going to happen. I think that we've seen enough, especially last year, to show us that that's probably not going to be the case. But man, they sure make it hard to make me stop believing myself. So, take that for what you will. I just thought this was kind of interesting. Here you can see what I'm talking about. So this is the link to the actual thing, and then this is obviously the jacket that it's trying to kind of emulate. It's just like that thing that happened back in 2022, I believe, when they posted that poster. The one I actually have right up here, of the four figures walking away from the ship towards the Geth crater thing. When they originally posted that, it basically said something along the lines of, insinuating the next game was going to be about Shepard building the universe back with the old crew and all this stuff. They took it down. It's been, I don't think anyone from BioWare has ever actually addressed it, but many people from outside of BioWare pointed out that that these description writers and these metadata people don't know what's happening in the next game. They're just trying to get as many clicks and get good Google search positioning on these items, which is fine. But all I'm saying is there's a chance. Moving on to some of the actual news that was interesting. We got an update on the on some of this transmedia for Mass Effect. We got this Variety story that confirms that a Mass Effect TV series is officially in development at Amazon MGM Studios. It's being written by the person who did Fast and the Furious 9. So here's the thing. There's a few things about this. I really wish if they would do a Mass Effect show, they would just do an animated one. That if you ever go to I think it's the Mass Effect YouTube channel or BioWare, it's one or the other. They have the entire soundtrack for the whole trilogy. They posted it back in 2021 when the Legendary Edition came out. And it's got this like really cool kind of anime-ish art style. And they look perfect. They look so good. Like they look genuinely great. And I swear if they would just do whatever they want to do with this animated, they could have the actual voice actors do the voices. It would be so great. I'm a little concerned. So on the bright side, Amazon just recently put out the Fallout show, and the Fallout show is extremely good. It's so good. It's so faithful to the game, to the lore, to the, everything about that. Todd Howard was involved. We know now that Mike Gamble is one of the producers or something of this. He'll basically just be someone they probably, consult with on how they make the movie or these shows. But I worry about this because you're going to have, there's going to be a lot of aliens, and they probably aren't going to do them practically. And so if they do them digitally, if they're CGI, they're going to need to spend a ton of money for them not to look bad. Who do you do? Is Shepard going to be in it or not? If they are, is it going to be FemShep or MShep? Is it going to be, who are you going to cast, right? If it is though, if it's not, are you going to introduce a brand new protagonist? That's going to make it hard for anyone to connect to it, because for a lot of people, Mass Effect is Shepard and Shepard is Mass Effect. Just like N7s are Shepard and Shepard is N7s. I know a lot of people don't like that point. I've made it before, but until they establish that that's not the case, it is the case, at least in my opinion. So if you look at the people involved in this, and you look at the projects they've been involved with in the recent history, it's not super great. So I guess we just have to hope that maybe its association with Amazon is a good thing. Maybe in their previous projects that didn't go so well, maybe the problem was a lack of budget or a lack of support or a lack of a good IP to work with. I don't know. But there's a TV series coming for Mass Effect, and I'm really curious to how they're going to handle it, because it is going to be it might be safe to do the trilogy, to do something summarizing the original 3 games, but then you're playing with fire with the fans. It might be less safe but more interesting to do a completely new story with new characters, but that's not what people know Mass Effect for. We'll have to wait and see. We have this kind of cool thing as well. I believe this is a reissue, that this vinyl soundtrack of the trilogy has been out before, but they're doing a Garrus and Thane version of it with the coloring of the records. So be sure to check that out from Space Lab 9 if you're interested in it. And honestly, what has ended up likely being the highlight of the whole thing for me is Dark Horse. I've been saying forever, I want a Shepard statue. I need an M-Shep statue. So I've always wanted. I was too late to get some of the old ones. And sure enough, here is a new one. So they did a FemShep one last year. That was really good. This one's amazing. This one looks so good. I may or may not have already pre-ordered it. It's not expected to be delivered until next summer or next fall. So I'll be waiting a while for it. But it looks so good. So what's really neat about it is you see here, they have, so he's in the pose there. As you go through, it's 14 inches tall, so it's relatively large. What's cool about it is it has an interchangeable head, so you can change out if you want him to have the helmet on, or if you want it to be the kind of classic M-Shep default face there. He's got that, which I assume that comes off. It looks like it has the little straps on it that you can take it on or off. It has the M8 gun there, and I just think it looks so good. It looks really, really cool. So I can't wait to have that in a year. And that was it this year. So it wasn't that big. I knew, and as they said, that it wasn't going to be as big. I was hoping for something. I was hoping for at least a blog. I was hoping for some concept art or things like that. But I will say the news about the show, the shepherd statue, some of the stuff, it was fine. And as I said before, I truly do believe that a big part of the reason this likely won't be that big of a deal in the long run is they probably have stuff to show us. Almost certainly. And so they probably will show that to us. It's just not right now. They don't want to step on the toes of Veilguard. I thought there was an opportunity for them to kind of maybe synergize with Veilguard and kind of, raise all ships, but that's not what they decided to do. And I'll trust that they have a better hold on that than me. I think this will be fine though, because there's always a chance they could tease something at the Game Awards this year. They've done that before. I think it's more likely, like I said before, in May, we will probably get the announcement of full production beginning. And then through the summer, through the fall, before N7 Day, I think it's very likely we could get at least 1 or 2 blogs of some development updates, showing off some concept art. Hey, we know that, you wish you would have gotten more during N7 Day last year. Well, here's some stuff to chew on, right? And then as time goes on, we're going to get closer and closer to them making the game and then putting it out. So it may be a little disappointing today for some people. Certainly hope no one's getting mad. I thought they did a good job of messaging that people shouldn't be expecting a lot from this. But overall, I'm fine. Obviously, I wish we had a huge blowout of information. And I am definitely going to struggle unless they do give us more over the next year to make more videos about this stuff. But I'll certainly do what I can. As for other podcasts, stuff like that, I will record an episode of the Hypecast. It's going to be more actually probably talking about the Veilguard and how I think it's going to impact the future of BioWare and Mass Effect. But I'll mention, and we'll talk a bit about N7 Day as well, especially if any more news comes out. I assume some folks from the games media, industry are going to put out some articles about things they've heard. We may have a Jeff Grubb or other Tom Henderson or someone is more than likely going to come out in the next day or two and be like, well, this is what I've heard most recently. Or I suspect we'll start getting some of that chirping as well. Some of that kind of, well, someone at BioWare told me about like the sales of the Veilguard, how EA is reacting to the reception and the reviews and the sales and all of that, and how all of that will likely impact Mass Effect as well. So we'll have stuff to talk about. There's surely more info coming in the next few months and years as we slowly roll forward to this game coming out, I hope. Let me know what you thought about all of this in the comments of the video. If you liked it, please hit that like button. It helps other people see the video as well. Subscribe to the channel if you want more Mass Effect coverage, BioWare, Dragon Age, or just gaming coverage in general. If you really want to support what I do with the podcast and with these videos and with my streaming and all of that, consider becoming a YouTube member. You do get videos like this one a bit earlier than other people. And you get a cool little icon beside your name when you comment and say super nice things. That is all I have for this one. So until next time.